Today on my channel, Planner Friends, we're diving into my prayer journal. I need to decorate in here, so we're going to do some deco, and then I want to discuss with you how much prayer journaling can help you and how it's like, you know, the concentric circles when you drop a rock into a pond and it just goes like this, those concentric circles. That's what this does for your heart, your soul, and your life. So pull up a cup of something. I've got my tea, and join me, friends. Please stay tuned. Hello, planner friends, and welcome to my channel. I am one crafty dolo. My name is Dolores. On Sundays on my channel, it's always about Jesus, faith studies, prayer journaling, Bible journaling, and I always have a good mug of tea. Just basic Tetley black tea today, and it's fueling my energy. So this is my prayer journal. This is my second year in this. For next year, I'm switching into a standard traveler's notebook. This will be the new one for next year. I wanted something a little smaller and more portable. I mean, right? Could you not? How could I resist that? And it was reasonable. That's the kicker. It was really reasonably priced, and it's handmade. I found it on Etsy. I'll link the shop below. It's the Pink Cow Boutique, and yeah, I did a short on this, but if you haven't seen it, right? So you can see it's a little thinner, very slightly taller than this Erin Condren. I liked this for 2 years. I've used different covers. I have the acetate in here. It's really windy and the wind is whipping. So if you hear it, ignore it as best as you can. I have the acetate and the deco in here. I always love to make all of my planners, but particularly where I really started to delve into planning creatively was my faith planning. So they still make the petite planner. It's good. I mean, it is good. But you can see here, I generally have some sort of deco, but I kind of got derailed a little in terms of deco this year. My mom was sick, then she passed, and you know, the fact that I'm actually doing all the things still is pretty much a good thing. I'm very grateful. So I thought we could get in here, and I want to talk to you about prayer journaling. And what I'd almost like to do, I know I have to do all this. I don't know how much I'm going to get in there, but I want to decorate at least from now going forward, if that makes sense to you, because I feel like I haven't done enough. So yeah. If you're new, join my growing community. What a lovely, lovely group of people we have here. If you're returning, thank you so much. You know I appreciate you. You really have helped me these last few months in particular. You've made a huge difference for me, so thank you for that gift. So I'm a nerd, okay? I have notes. But I want to talk to you. There's 2 sources that I cited, and again, I'm an academic, I'm a nerd, so I cite things properly, if you will. And again, I thought we could just get in here and have some fun. So I brought out a bunch of supplies, and we're just going to chat and have fun and talk prayer journaling. Alrighty, so here's what I want to start off by saying, for what it's worth. What happened to me is I needed a boost in my prayer life 2 years ago. I felt like I wasn't doing enough, and it was kind of, my prayers were the same and rote memorization kind of thing. And that's never how I want to approach my faith. So I did some research and I realized I could do a prayer journal. I'd been doing faith planning, but I didn't know about prayer journaling, which I don't know why I didn't know. I just didn't know. So what I did is I really delved into it, and the result is I used the YouVersion Bible app, and I used their daily guided prayer. It's on the homepage. You scroll down, and it's really been a real benefit to me, shall we say. I really feel like I've come into my own in terms of prayer. So I want to pass that on to you, to give you some joy, to give you purpose, to give you the things that I feel prayer gives me. So I looked up a bunch of sources because, that's what I do. And I came up with this. I've never heard of this person, so I can just say I've never heard of them. The name is Val Maria Paper. It's actually, I think this person sells products. But I like this quote, and I really want you to come with me in this moment, okay? Prayer is our place to pour out our hearts before Him and let Him hold the things that feel hard, scary, and overwhelming. So in other words, what? Prayer is the way to turn to God and to ask for help and to know that you're not alone on this journey by any stretch of the imagination. And when I read that, I really did a hard pause, even though I know this, right? Intellectually, I know this, but in your daily life, is this what you're practicing? So I thought that was a really great quote to build upon for today. So what does prayer journaling give to you? Well, it gives you, first and foremost, you're developing and deepening your relationship with God and with Jesus. You're turning to them and saying, I recognize you. I see your place in my life. I need your place in my life. And I want to share this moment with you, to praise you, to give you honor, to ask for your intercession, right? It's an incredible way to build this intimacy, this relationship with God and Jesus. It does help you feel like you're not alone anymore. But beyond that, it also gives you a great deal. Now, I don't have purpley ink. Oh, wait, I might. Buried in the recess of my craft closet. Okay. As I was saying, though, this intimacy with the Lord and Jesus that you get from this is you need to think about, I would suggest that you need to think about your relationship with God and with Jesus as you would any relationship, that you need to think about God in a way that's you need to work on that relationship, right? You need to build it. You need to grow in it. You need to show God and to be with Jesus, to lean on them, but to incorporate them daily into the fabric and structure of your day. You probably are like me, okay? If you're into planning, I know you're like me in this sense. But do you have a giant to-do list? I do. I always have a giant to-do list. And what doesn't often make it on that to-do list is time spent with the Lord in Scripture, with Jesus. By integrating this more as part of my daily practice in life, I have to tell you, it's helped me in a myriad of ways that I'll explain. But first and foremost, you need to really think about how a prayer journal, is you're carving out a very unique space in your life for being with God. It's not like any other space in your life. And I think that matters, okay? I really do. Because by carving out that space, what you're basically saying to God is, I'm present with you. I see you. I'm here. I'm present. And for me, that's incredibly, incredibly meaningful, right? It's not just you out on your own doing whatever. No, you're present with the Lord, and you're showing the Lord that you're invested and that you're not taking His gifts and everything He's given you for granted. And that matters, friends. So let's talk a little more about this, because I do think it does matter. What a prayer journal can do. Okay, so you're deepening your relationship with God. You're deepening your intimacy with God and with Jesus. It brings you a sense of comfort. For me, it also brings me a sense of purpose beyond myself. Like, I feel that not only am I not alone, it reminds me that I'm here to put good into this world. And in a world that's increasingly fractured and very aggravating, can I say that? In a world that just is overwhelming and it is ridiculous nonsense, I feel like the feeling of putting good into the world, even though you're just communing, not just, but even though it's you alone communing with God and with Jesus, it totally revamps where you are at any given moment. The other thing a prayer journal will do is it will help you stay focused. It's very easy, trust me, I am aware of this. It's very easy to get distracted. The world, I think, increasingly is just one big distraction, right? And isn't it, tell me I'm not alone here. Do you feel like I do, that there's this kind of cultural, constant outrage, a culture of outrage that's taken over? And we can blame social media for it. However, we also need to recognize that it wouldn't work if people weren't buying into it. So, people, I'm not that big a fan of social media. But that being said, I do feel that people themselves are the ones who are, you know what I mean? They're doing that. So the world is one big distraction, right? And I think we can, quite frankly, agree on that. Well, that being said, how do you pull back? When do you? By spending time with the Lord, by spending time with Jesus. The prayer journal, I like this, it's dated. And that's one thing I'm just a little concerned of for next year. I need to find something that's also got either dates, or I can date it ahead of time, because that helps me stay on track, if that makes sense. I need those dates to keep me, or at least some, a space where I can really hone in. So you stay focused with a journal like this. You just do, because it's there. I keep it in a prominent place. It's become a part of my routine every day, usually in the mornings, though not always. And I've read different things on that. I've read that you should be doing it at the same time every day. I've read that, well, it doesn't matter. Well, I think it does matter, but I also know that we're all living and we're doing whatever we do. And so we don't always have time to do things at the exact same time, but to put it in a place where you're going to see it every day and remind you. I personally love that app because it's free, but there's all kinds of books you can get focused on prayer that I think would be helpful as well. And then write in here. And my method in here has been to write a scripture, and then I either write a prayer, I have prompts, or every so often I'll put my thoughts. So it's a variety. The prayer app, the YouVersion Bible guided prayer section has prompts. So I do use them. Here's another one. Yeah, I do use them. They help me sometimes when I'm not sure where to begin. So that didn't come out so great. Let me try that again. No, I don't like always stamping over though, because you never get it quite right. Yeah, it's better. It helps you stay focused, and that's really important. Again, think of the world as an opposition to our faith, and it's always trying to distract you and pull you into some kind of ridiculous nonsense, and you don't have the energy or the time to deal with that. You don't. You have better things to do. You have your life to lead. You have to put good in the world. You need to spend time with the Lord and with Jesus. And I'm sorry, listening to blah, blah. Now, don't get me wrong. I have my ridiculousness and my escape programs and my YouTube and this and that. But first and foremost is always the thought that I need to turn to God. If it's a good day, I need to focus on God. If it's a mediocre day, I need to focus on God. If it's a really bad, hard day, all the more so. So the journal helps you stay focused. It serves as a reminder of putting God and Jesus in your life. It brings a certain level of accountability, if that makes sense. Like you become accountable for more than just you're just living, you're just working, you're doing this, you're doing that. No, all of a sudden you stop, you pause, and you say to yourself, I've got a lot that I need to turn over. And this accountability, this idea of no excuses, like there it is, the journal's there. Pick it up, use it, and please don't do wait till tomorrow. When I travel, which is one of the reasons, we're not traveling a lot, but one of the reasons I did decide to go with something smaller to make it easier when I do travel. I think this will fit nicely into my tote bags. That was important to me. And so I like this bee. That was one of the reasons I slimmed down. But, putting things off, particularly time with God, is never a good idea. And it never helps you in the end. It never does. And so that's just something I just wanted to mention as well. Another quote from this Val Maria paper. Writing out my prayers shows me I can't read my writing. Show me that the lies I'm believing about myself or God. It helps me see where I'm stuck in patterns of sin and fear. Yes, friends. I want you to pause a moment. And I know I talk about this here and there on this channel, but I have believed the lie that I was not creative. Well, guess what? I am creative, but I believed that about myself for the bulk of my life. It's only in the last 5 or so years that I've thought to myself, maybe I am creative. Maybe. And so what do how many people say to themselves, they may pray and then they're like, oh, God isn't listening to me anyway. Yes, he is. And that's a lie that I would say the enemy wants you to believe. Well, the journal becomes a living testament. How to Get Stamps Out from a Container by Dolo. No, the journal becomes a living testament to your relationship with God, to your belief, to his presence in your life. And I would suggest, I gotta focus a little more here, don't I? Not pressing hard enough, I think. Yeah, that's a little better. It becomes a testament to the goodness of your prayers. It becomes it's a volume it's a compendium. That's the word I'm looking for. It's a compendium of where you are in your life and how God is helping you through it. And I really think that's quite important, quite frankly. And that's not something, you're not going to remember your prayers from last Tuesday in your head. Unless something particularly of certain magnitude happened, you're not. But you are able to go back and say, gosh, on this date, what was I thinking? What was I doing? What was going on? Something big happened in our lives, and how did I respond? It's in here. It's in here. And by being in here, it reminds you, again, focus on God, not the world. And it, like this quote says, this space, writing out your prayers, gives you a strength that I couldn't have imagined before I started doing it. Okay? I just don't think I realized how much this would, I don't know that it changed me. It definitely impacted me. We can say that. It definitely impacted me. And has been one of the reasons why I feel that I've been able to really push back against my battle with anxiety. This space has done wonders in that battle. in preparing me for the day or preparing me for the next day, or, and to expand my thinking beyond the anxiety of what's going on in my world, and to know that I am not alone. And yeah, I think that's the best way to say it, So look, friends, these are some ideas. Another thing, and I've talked about this, I set up what's called a war binder. It's a record of God's faithfulness. That's what this Val Maria site, she says it's a record of God and his faithfulness to us, and I like that. She also suggests that it's something for future generations to have and to hold on to, and I thought that was interesting. I don't know that my son's ever going to read through these, but you never know. Maybe he has a child and the child does. I don't know. So just some thoughts there as well. Okay, friends, I went ahead, took a break, and I washed and dried my stamps as best as I could. It's one of those things that if you don't do it quickly, it ends up being problematic. So where are we here? Okay, so we have a few more pages to stamp, and then I'm probably going to grab some washi as well. Alrighty, so as I was saying, here's another source I found. Her name is Lisa Jordan. Again, I don't know some of these people, but that's okay. I don't have to. Just reading and sharing and, of course, citing them for you. She talks about prayer strengthening her faith, which obviously, right, we know that. But then she says something I think is interesting. And, it gets lost in the shuffle sometimes. It reminds her to pray for praise God. But, oops, that's something I have found myself. But then she also suggests that it's a reminder to pray for others. And if I was to myself explain one of the biggest things that the prayer journal's done for me, it's the reminder to get beyond my typical prayers and to expand. And that's what I feel this journal has done for me. It's really expanding me to pray for other people, to incorporate more praise to God and Jesus. It's done that in a very, just move all these stamps. I got stamps everywhere. What a messy. It's really gotten me outside of myself, which if you're like me, you probably need as well, because it's easy to get kind of mired down in the daily scrum of life and things that you're doing and whatnot. And so it's a good way to step outside yourself and to bring others in. And what it has given me, as much as I don't necessarily like doing, I pray for people who have been less than kind to me, people who have left a negative imprint in my life. And I always pray that they find solace, that they find Jesus, that they find a way to lift themselves up a bit more. Because in the end, what I've learned the hard way, because I always learn things the hard way. I always tell my son that. I'm like, well, you come by it honestly, kid, by praying for the people who have been difficult, you really do raise yourself, and you're raising them to some degree, but you're also in the process of forgiveness. And I think that really is huge. And that's, let's be honest, forgiveness is one of the hardest things that you and I deal with. And I assume if you're watching, you're Christian. If you're a Christian, you know that you're required to forgive. And that's not always easy. It's just not. But by writing it out, expanding your prayers, it becomes more natural, and you do it more frequently, if that makes sense. Because again, why did I pick this up? The idea was to get beyond what I was constantly praying, kind of the same old things. I wanted to change that a bit, and I did. And so by expanding it, I'm, yeah, you get what I'm saying. I don't have to go on and on here. The other thing that, because I'm using the YouVersion Bible app, this also is a reminder to dig deeper into my scriptures and to God's word and what that brings into my life. Your girl needs to clean up here, so I'll be right back, friends. All right, I did manage to clean up. Just a few thoughts to finish up. I'm just going to add some bits and bobs of washi around, not a lot, just some. Just a few bits and bobs here I want to share with you because I want to make this personal. I go and do research, but then I like to talk about my own feelings and bring it to you. Let me say this to you, okay? And I've talked about this before, so if you are a subscriber, I don't mean to be redundant, but I went through a period of time with a lot of panic attacks, and it was really awful. And I wish I did pray. I've always been a person of faith. I was raised in my church. I mean, it's just our lives have always been dominated by faith. But I was really struggling. I had a very uncooperative spouse. I was the family breadwinner. I was doing everything. I was running amok. Oh, and by the way, in the midst of it, I was raising a son who had some special needs. You know, he had learning differences. Oh, and by the way, I was working on an actual traditional doctorate, and it was hard as heck, as you might imagine. And lots of things happened. But the panic, I mean, I can understand why, right? You can understand why. But if I had a prayer journal to take with me throughout my long 12-hour days, it would have served me incredibly well, okay? And that's what I want to share with you today and why I'm sharing with you today. I know on Sundays we always do faith videos on my channel, and that's lovely and wonderful. But I also know that sometimes we need a little bit extra, okay? And that's why I wanted to come in here and have some creative fun. But B, I wanted to be present with you in a very different way today. And to say to you, look, if you're in a tough place, if you're struggling, you don't have to get the fancy planner or whatever. You can get a Dollar Tree notebook or Walmart. Walmart has an incredible selection of journals. I just went recently. They even have the Moleskine stuff. They have a fabulous selection. So if you're debating and you're not sure what you want to do in terms of a journal, go to Walmart. I was really quite impressed, truthfully. But what I can tell you unequivocally is that this space, my faith planners and this prayer journal, they have strengthened the core of my soul. They have given me strength of purpose, strength in my relationship with God and Jesus, which is always, no, I don't like that there, which is always most important. They've taken me outside of my various whatevers and given me a sense of the world beyond myself. One of my parents' life lessons and mandates is to put good into the world. Okay, well into her older age, both my parents were helping homeless people, cooking meals, doing all kinds of things, working with people with developmental disabilities. And they made their life was one of service. And so what this reminds me is that who I am in the big order of things and what I need to bring to God and to Jesus. And so when I say it strengthens my core, it's almost like not enough. I'm not saying enough of how much good it does. The other things it has done for me on a daily basis. Now, true confessions, my mother was probably the most cheerful, optimistic, upbeat individual you will ever meet in your life. And we used to joke with her because whenever she would email or text, I would joke like, okay, Mom, you know, her singing angels and dancing unicorns. That was who my mother was. And it's a blessing that we had that, right? And it's kind of sad now, you know, she's departed, but her lessons remain. So what this has done as well, I would refer to it as it's improved my countenance, meaning how I face the world. So let me share a story with you. The other day, I wanted chicken tenders. Yes, I'm essentially a 12-year-old. I wanted chicken tenders. So I went to Wendy's because I like their chicken tenders. And I got myself a chicken tenders meal, and I sat down and just parked myself. I was just chowing down, and this woman approached me as she was leaving. And I always wear hats because my hair is what they used to call flyaway hair. So I'm kind of in a windy state now, and I don't want my hair flying away. And she came up to me, and she was so lovely, and she said, "Oh, you look so elegant, and you're just radiant, and I love your hat, but your whole outfit, you're just so much style." I'm chomping down very unelegantly on a chicken tender and a bunch of fries. Okay, this is me. I'm like, And I paused, and I didn't know what to say. I just was like so taken aback in a good way, and I just thanked her for paying me a compliment. But hear me out. Is it my outfit? Okay, sure. Was I dressed particularly elegantly? No, I don't think so. But obviously, I did okay with what I pulled together and my hats and all this. But you know what? I was sitting there radiating joy. I know I was, because I was happy about the chicken tenders, but I have been feeling so elated and so in touch with God and with Jesus. It has lifted my countenance, and this is really important, even in the face of my mother's death, if anything, I've gotten stronger in how I'm approaching life and being happy and not being lost in the misery of loss and grief. And yeah, I have those moments. Of course I do. It comes on me suddenly, and it just whips its way around my heart. But I am filled with the joy of the Holy Spirit. I am filled with these, this is not working. Goodness, sorry about that. These spaces and places that bring my faith to life. My cup is running over at the moment with gratitude and so forth. And so a space like this makes it that much better. So this is about your relationship with the Lord, but what's that stuff they always talk about? Trickle down economics theories and all this stuff, and Keynesian economics. Oh, good Lord. I remember Adam Smith and all of that, right? Bear with me here. I know I'm nerding out. But the idea, I don't know whether trickle down or not economics actually works. So I'm not an economist. My brother actually majored in economics as an undergrad. But the trickle down of these spaces, particularly this one, is that I am happier. I am filled with joy. I am like feeling so much more connected to God and Jesus. And that's what this does. And as you can see, I'm just sitting here chatting. We're making the space pretty. And that in and of itself also lifts me up in a very, very visceral way, I must say. Something pink. Oh, I know. That's a bright, hot pink. So we're just going to go with something a little softer. I'm just digging in. I have this bag here full of, I divide my washi up, pinks, blues, purples, pinks, peaches, blues, purple, neutrals. There's an Erin Condren bag. Is it the most glamorous? No. Do I keep thinking I'm going to do another project and create better spaces for my washi? Yes. But I actually like this little bag. It fits nicely in my planner card. It just works. Anyway. So, I also feel that sharing my day with God and Jesus versus not, it improves my countenance, it improves my life, it improves the feelings I have day or night whenever I'm in this space. And so, yeah, that really matters to me. And I'm hopeful that you understand what I'm saying and you feel it as well, and that it brings you joy. So grab yourself some kind of notebook and spend time with God. Spend time with Jesus. You are certainly worthy. You're certainly worth it. And yeah, Just looking at my notes. Oh, I did talk about it helps me with anxiety. Oh, the other thing is some moral clarity. And what I mean by that is you're going to face people in situations that aren't always fair to you. You know it. We all know it, right? What this helps remind me of is the moral clarity that I am called to live with. That it doesn't matter what people do. Well, it does, but they can, throw their best shot, if you will. That doesn't mean I'm going to give in to whatever nonsense they're pushing. In fact, I won't give in. I can't give in. And this space reminds me of that as well. And so just a little by the by there. It's, sometimes the way people act and do things, you think to yourself, wait a minute, is it me or is this wacky or is this wrong or is this, no, there's no ambiguity here. You're either on the side of right or you're not. And if you're not, you know what, I don't need to deal with you. And if I'm forced to deal with you, well, I guess I'll have to be, but that doesn't mean I'm one of you. So, and this is going to sound crazy, but this is true. Just carrying this in my bag makes a difference to me. Just knowing that it's in my tote bag, I've got it with me, it's bringing me joy and peace and all kinds of things. Yes, that does make a difference. It's like Ephesians 6:11, put on the whole armor of God. You can think of, whether you call it a prayer journal, whether you have a war binder, whatever it is that you're doing, you can think of this space as part of your armor from God that gives you strength and fortifies you for the battles ahead. I definitely feel that in here. And that's, yeah. I mean this. This is definitely a way I've been able to process and get through the death of my mother. Sorry about the wind. This window is a little open. Alrighty, we decorated, we talked prayer journaling. Very simple decoration. I do have a number of stamps, as you can see. This is a little wrinkly. But I feel better that it's decorated for the rest of the month. That definitely lifts me up a bit. I just love these spaces and I love making them pretty. Will I go back and decorate October? Gosh, you know what? I don't know that I will. I'm think if anything, I could add some washi, but I think I'm just going to leave it. And will I decorate this front? I don't know. I like it, but I'll see. I guess if I'm have a Saturday afternoon where I'm crafting, maybe I'll get to it. Anyway, I will link my sources below because that is the nerdy academic in me. I hope this helped. I hope I lifted you. I hope I raised you. And I want to thank you for lifting and raising me. Have a blessed, blessed week ahead, planner and faith friends. And know that I appreciate you. This charm, incidentally, is from the Michael's Jewelry section. So, FYI. Thanks again for being here. Have a blessed day. Bye now.